Cowherd, do the Wolverines have any shot tonight?
They have a great shot. First of all, they have probably the better head coach, the better defense. They've played in a series of very close games, 6-1 in close games or overtime games. Also, they've come from behind to win 9 times this year. They're not going to freak out if Nova goes on one of these 11-0 runs with their three-point shooting. Listen, man, what's remarkable about Michigan, they've played well once in the last 3 weeks, and they're here. Outside of the A&M game, they've been shooting in the low 40%, and they're here. They've trailed in several games. They've been outplayed in long stretches. They have, though, what every team that wins has in the last 20 years. An elite coach, one NBA player, and very good situationally.
What you just described to me is like, well, Michigan's going to get lucky one more time. They're going to keep playing poorly, and they're going to get lucky and win one more time. And that's just not going to happen. I foolishly, not foolishly, but I'm making the argument it's a lot harder to create a great team in the modern era of college basketball,
You're right.
the one-and-done era. Definitely. But Jay Wright has done it. He has created the great team. And I didn't really see it coming. I followed them all year and thought, they're a very good team, but they can be had. This is a great team that tonight will likely put an exclamation point on a tremendous season, a bunch of double-digit wins, all double-digit wins in the tournament, and I think that's going to continue tonight. I just think they shoot too well. They're too versatile. They just have too many ways to beat you.
That's fair. I'm not disagreeing with that. But can I throw this out there? You've gone into big games.
Right.
Duke has always been a big favorite. Duke's a favorite.
Right.
This is the little underdog program.
No.
Tonight, they're supposed to win big.
And
that's a new role for them, Jason.
Right, but what we are witnessing right now is the beginnings of a powerhouse like a Duke. Like, I think Jay Wright is equivalent to Coach K in that respect, where he's building something that you have to reckon with and is going to stand for the next 20 years. But this team is too good. They're parallel to them in college basketball is the Golden State Warriors. They shoot the heck out of the ball. They're the best shooting, on the makes perspective, best shooting team in college basketball right now. And then defensively, they're all over the place. They make first, second, and third efforts on defense. So you're not going to beat them with that scrappy nature. And I think they have a worthy adversary right now, but I don't think they have enough. I think they're going to give them a great game. You still have to pay attention to them after halftime if you're up. But I think they have too much on the offensive and defensive end for Michigan tonight.
I mean, Colin, this whole 3-week run you're talking about, did you mention that they didn't beat a top 5 seed in the tournament? They've played badly against bad teams. Florida State, they were down by 10 to Loyola in the second half. I like Villanova here big. Did you know that no Big Ten team has won a championship in the last 17 years? They're 0-8 in the title game. Since Michigan State won it in 2000, the Big Ten has just continued to lay eggs every year in the title game. And let me go to Mo Wagner, the great Michigan big man, right? You see who he's going up against tonight. Spellman, the kid from Villanova, the freshman, played outstanding against Villanova. He reminds me a little bit of Draymond Green, and you mentioned the Warriors. He's a long defender, really good three-point shooter. He's made 10 threes in the tournament. I think he's going to be told, hey, man, you shut down Wagner tonight, you could be looking at a first-round draft pick and coming out this year. I love Villanova by double digits.
And they don't have a better coach, too. Like, I would not say that. Jay Wright is the best of the best right now. He's shown that he is equivalent to anybody you say is one of the top coaches in college basketball.
So you don't think it's close?
No, I really don't. And one, I think Michigan just plays the wrong style in terms of Wagner. Again, if he were a guy that we're going to say, I'm going to take my 6'11" size and get some guys in foul trouble in the post,
right.
I think that's how you get a chance. I have a chance against Villanova, get some guys in front. But he's not. He's going to camp out along the three-point line. He'll occasionally go into the lane. But again, trying to beat Villanova in a shooting contest, good luck with that.
Not going to happen. And they switch everything. Like, they have the ability, all their players have the ability to guard, sit down and guard. And I don't think anybody's going to deal with Mr. Brunson over there tonight.
Whitlock, is the women's tourney in a better place than the men's?
No. I think their Final Four is in a better place because the 4 best teams or 4 of the 6 best teams make it to the Final Four because there's very few upsets early in the tournament. So they're going to produce a better Final Four. The teams are evenly matched. UConn got beat in dramatic fashion, and now Notre Dame wins in dramatic fashion when the referee swallowed their whistle and screwed Mississippi State. But anyway, seriously, I think their Final Four is better. The teams are evenly matched. They're great teams. But the rest of their tournament, it's pretty easy to ignore.
Yeah, let's not go crazy and be PC and talk about 2 buzzer beaters. Did you fill out your women's bracket?
I did not.
Nor did virtually most of America, because we bet men's college basketball. It'll get 7 times the rating tonight. That's without Kentucky. That's without Duke. That's without Kansas. We have a football school and a small Northeast university, and it's going to get a huge rating. I think the women's final was great. I don't watch a ton of women's basketball, so I never criticize it. But you got to remember, the men's bracket, it is a betting institution in America.
Right.
That's why the NFL surpassed baseball. We don't bet baseball. We bet football. And I just don't think women's basketball is part of our betting tapestry in America.
Structurally, the game is in a better place. It's easier the women's games structurally, from watching a basketball game, the 4 quarters, the advancement of the ball at the last minute of the game, like to watch that game is easier than watching a college basketball, a men's game. They should catch up to that part of the game. But the product, as far as the men's game right now, they can't compete with that one. But the structure of the game, I think the men should adopt that structure, and it can make it a better product than it already is right now.
Generally in America, there's a pattern. We watch the best blank, the best restaurants,
right,
the best athlete. We watch NHL over college hockey. The only one that we think is close, and it's really not, is college football, NFL. But the ratings aren't close. I mean, generally speaking, if you go in sports in America, men's basketball is more vertical, women's game is more linear.
Right.
And so I just think there's a dynamic component to men's basketball that's more popular and always will be.
So UConn beats teams by 30, 40 all season, and now because of 2 buzzer beaters in the Final Four, structurally, Dahntay, that the game is better? Come on, don't give me this.
I think watching it in a 4-quarter capacity is different than watching it in 2 halves, because it breaks the games and it makes a better product for the visual.
I mean, again, I didn't watch it.
They can't compete with the men's talent on the court, and that's what we're talking about. That's why it's a better product. But watching the game to be able to watch a women's game in that capacity with the start and stops of the 4th quarter, I think it's better.
Didn't they have it structurally all season?
And I thought it was better to watch
so you watched
women's
a lot
games
of women's
now.
this season.
I watched some women's games because I'm a fan of basketball.
If you went to a restaurant and you liked the architecture and the structure, but the other place just had better food, I mean, again,
I may still go.
See, I would go to the food.
No, I want to go back to the question, better place. And so I don't want to contradict myself, but I will say this. Women's basketball is trending up.
Yes.
Men's college basketball is not trending up, in my view.
It's in a flat trajectory.
It's flat or descending. And so I could make an argument that we might, 20 years from now, be talking about, remember when that woman hit back-to-back buzzer beaters to beat UConn and then Mississippi State? That may have been the moment that women's college basketball started gaining real traction. And because, again, I do think they captured our attention with this Final Four. I have been arguing for 20 years. The biggest mistake women's college basketball makes is playing its tournament at the same time as the men. If they played this thing in April, I think people would watch, particularly now that it's gotten a little bit interesting and it's not just UConn every year. And so if the women's game would move from underneath the shadow of the men's tournament and somehow move their tournament to April, I do think we would start seeing some traction, brackets,
but then you're going up against the NBA. Well, NBA, let me ask you this.
A one-and-done tournament in April against the NBA.
If you think this was a seminal moment for women's basketball, and maybe it's a jump-off, why couldn't I say the same for UMBC beating Virginia in the first round? And that, all of a sudden, you've got massive parity now with the 16 and the 15s having a great chance
Loyola.
every year.
Yeah.
Oh, you love parity in the NFL. Why wouldn't you love it in college basketball when the 16 seed, who's a 20-point dog, has a shot?
That's a different argument because, one, I do think we're going to start seeing more and more upsets in men's college basketball because there is more parity. I just, that isn't going to make the tournament dramatically more interesting, in my opinion. I think what we just saw here in the women's game with UConn backing up to the rest and other teams catching up with them, I do think the women's game is trending a better direction.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the NFL helps college football?
Absolutely.
So do I.
Yes.
Okay, because college football is the feeder system.
Yes.
So if you like the NFL, you're like, hey, that Sam Darnold guy could be on my team. So college men's basketball feeds a rising sport, the NBA. Women's basketball feeds the WNBA, which is a league that is largely struggled to grow over the last decade.
That's why I like women's college basketball, though, because it is the pinnacle of women's college of women's basketball. It's bigger than the WNBA, and that's why I think it has a chance to continue to trend the right direction. Gino Auriemma is the biggest brand in women's basketball, and he plays at the college level. That's the ultimate. That, again, their tournament can be the ultimate tournament for women's basketball. I like the way it's trending. I wish the referees last night.
Oh, come on.
There was targeting.
Did you lose
on the
money on that game?
No, there was targeting on the Mississippi State player. She came, they tackled her and didn't call anything. It was crazy.